Hello, welcome to Divine Principle. Today we will continue the Abraham's family, and this is part 2. We will talk about the foundation of substance. We in the part 1 we analyzed how Abraham's family was built, the foundation of faith. But to build the foundation for the Messiah, we need the two foundations: foundation of faith and foundation of substance. So in the second part of the of Abraham's family, we will talk about the foundation of substance. This is the section 3 from the first chapter of the second part of the Divine Principle. So this part, the second part of Abraham's family, will focus on Abraham's grandchildren, Jacob and Esau. They are the key, especially Jacob, is the key focus of this lecture. And let's start. So we learn about from the first part that Abraham offered Isaac, and this was make an offering of his son Isaac, and this was the victory that based on what God was able to build the foundation of faith and continue the providence in Abraham's family. So from this point on, Isaac became inherited the mission from Abraham, and Isaac, he had two sons, and the foundation of substance was supposed to be established based on the relationship between Isaac's two sons, Esau and Jacob. So the symbolic offering, we learned that to establish the foundation for the Messiah in Isaac's family, the foundation of substance had to be laid next. So we see here that the foundation, symbolic offering means the offering for the foundation of faith. When Isaac, together with Abraham, offered the ram caught in the thicket by his horns, this is how it's written in the Bible, after God stopped Abraham to kill his son, to make offering of his son, God stopped him. They saw a ram, and they offered that ram as a sacrifice instead of his son. And this offering was made together between Abraham and Isaac. So one thing that I want to say about this is that we know the Abraham's family is the third family. First, before in the Providence, first family was Adam's family. Second family was Noah's family, which is in Genesis. The record of those families is in Genesis, and in Adam's family, we know that the mistake was made between Adam and Eve. But after that, in building the foundation for the Messiah, the mistake was made between Cain and Abel. Cain killed Abel, and the offering Abel made was acceptable by God, but Cain's offering God didn't accept. And Divine Principle is saying that in order for God to accept Cain's offering, he's supposed to make it with Abel's help. So if we take this failure that happened in Adam's family and look at the situation that happened between Abraham and Isaac, Abraham and Isaac can be considered this like the victory that's supposed to happen between Cain and Abel. Abraham, let's see, Abraham maybe like maybe Abel, and Isaac like Cain, they made the offering together. This was, in a sense, to me, the divine principle doesn't say that, but when I look at this situation, this is a restoration of the failure in Adam's family. And in a sense, it's showing how the offering supposed to be to be made between Cain and Abel, and how the offering for the foundation of faith is supposed to be made for the future generation, for everybody. This sets the model. Cain and Abel should work together to make an offering. This will be in a sense, building the foundation of faith, and because they work together to make the offering, is at the same time is building the foundation of substance. The foundation of faith and foundation of substance is built on the same time when they work together to make an offering. In the way how Abraham and Isaac. And another thing is that when Abraham united with Isaac united with Abraham, he restored the situation between Ham and Noah. So the failure in Noah's family was restored also by Abraham offering Isaac. When Isaac was willing to be sacrificed, even though he knew that his father is going to sacrifice him, he didn't oppose. He united with his father. He was completely obedient to his father. So we see the big contrast between Ham and Isaac. So this is how it's supposed to happen in Noah's family in order for Noah to be successful. So what I want to say here, that Abraham, this offering of Isaac was both, in my view, is like restoring the the situation between Cain and Abel, and the situation between Noah and Ham. So let's go next here. A substantial offering, the foundation of substance. A substantial offering is foundation of substance. For this purpose, Isaac's sons, Esau and Jacob, had to be placed in the divided positions of Cain and Abel, respectively. So one of the sons of Isaac is in the position of Abel, and one of the sons of another son of Isaac is in the position of Cain. So Esau assumed the role of Cain as the representative of evil, while Jacob stood in the position of Abel as the representative of goodness. So Jacob, the second son, was put in the position of Abel, and Esau as the first son was in the position of Cain. And this is not because one of them is better than the other. They are put in these positions in order for God to restore the providence, to move providence forward, to build the foundation for the Messiah, to send the Messiah, or based on this foundation. Esau and Jacob began fighting inside their mother's womb because they were in these opposing positions. In Genesis chapter 25, verse 23, is saying like that. The Lord said to Rebekah, 2 nations are in your womb, and 2 peoples born of you shall be divided. The one shall be stronger than the other. The elder shall serve the younger. Even then, God loved Jacob and hated Esau. In Romans, in chapter 9, verses 11 to 13. This is Paul is in the New Testament already is saying this words. But this was for a providential reason. Why God loved Jacob and hated Esau? Not because he hated Esau and loved Jacob. Is this for a providential, in order to restore in order to continue the providence of restoration. The providence required for this condition to be made in order for God to send the Messiah. So they were supposed to restore through indemnity the mistakes which Cain and Abel had made in their offering. If Abraham had succeeded in the initial symbolic offering of cutting the birds, the ram, the goat, and the heifer, if he would be successful in making this offering, we know that he wasn't successful because he didn't cut the birds, the turtle dove and the pigeon. But if he would be successful, in that case, the foundation of substance, the substantial offering, would have been built not by Esau and Jacob, but by Abraham's son Isaac and Ishmael. Ishmael was in the position of elder son, Isaac younger son. So this is the how to say, the uniqueness of divine principle, because divine principle doesn't say what happened. It say what's supposed to happen and what happened as also. So the one thing that I want to mention here, divine principle doesn't say, but the reason why we have now the conflicts through the ages between Arabs and Jews is because of this. The between Abraham's sons Ishmael and Isaac was how to say, happened some conflict that wasn't solved. So that's the reason this conflict is was because it wasn't solved. Then it continues through the ages, and in present age we see the many wars between the Arab people and Jews. So if Abraham has succeeded in the initial symbolic offering, Isaac and his half-brother Ishmael would have stood in the positions of Abel and Cain. So the root cause of the conflict between Jews and the Arabs is rooted in Abraham's family. However, because Abraham failed in the offering, Abraham failed to cut the birds, so this offering was a failure. This offering was taken by Satan. God set up Isaac in the position of Abraham, and Esau and Jacob in the positions originally intended for Ishmael and Isaac. So because of this mistake in making the symbolic offering, in Abraham's position, Isaac inherited the mission of Abraham, and the mission of building the foundation of substance was transferred to Isaac's sons, Esau and Jacob. Because Satan took dominion over the universe, Satan assumed the position of the elder. God was cast down in the position of the second son, from which he had to work his way toward restoring the birthright. For this reason, God has at times favored second sons over firstborn sons, as in the case of Esau and Jacob. I have loved Jacob, but I have hated Esau. Malachi chapter 1 verse 2. Jacob highly valued the birthright and worked to reclaim it from his brother. He cleverly obtained it from Esau in exchange for some bread and a pottage of lentils. In Genesis chapter 25, verses 27 to 34. When the boys grew up, Esau was a skillful hunter, a man of the field, while Jacob was a quiet man, dwelling in tents. Isaac loved Esau because he ate of his game, but Rebekah loved Jacob. Once, when Jacob was boiling pottage, Esau came in from the field, and he was famished, means he was starving. And Esau said to Jacob, "Let me eat some of that red pottage, for I am famished." Jacob said, "First sell me your birthright." Esau said, "I am about to die. Of what use is a birthright to me?" Jacob said, "Swear to me first." So he swore to him and sold his birthright to Jacob. So we see here the picture shows how Esau is swearing that Jacob is the firstborn son. So he is selling his birthright to Jacob, and Jacob is holding the food, the pottage of lentils, and in the exchange they did an exchange. So he paid for the pottage of lentils with the birthright. So he received the food. One thing about this type of actions that happening, it appears that are not really how to say it, not really a decent way to obtain the birthright from Jacob, like by selling it. And after that, Jacob even deceived his father to get the blessing. So this is many people are wondering why God working with Jacob, and he continued the providence through Jacob, even though Jacob appeared to be a cunning person, person who is deceiving. The divine principle is explaining that there is, in order to restore what has happened when Satan deceived Eve in the Garden of Eden, God putting to restore, in order to restore this, God is creating circumstances where the person in Abel's position is in a position to deceive a person in Cain's position. A person in the position of God is deceiving a person in the position of Satan. So this is how the restoration it works. Maybe it sounds not decent, but this is how it's the restoration. The Bible shows many times this type of situation. When, for example, Abraham went to Egypt, he portrayed himself and his wife as brother sister. In a sense, he he deceived Pharaoh. Also, he went to I'm sorry, to the king of Gerar, Abimelech of Gerar, as well. He portrayed himself and his wife as brother sister. So this is because to restore the station of Adam and Eve, who were brother and sister before the fall, and who were deceived by Satan, by Archangel Lucifer, they are God often putting people in the position to deceive the people who are in Archangel's position. So that's the one explanation divine principle gives about the apparently undecent way of the performance of Jacob. Indecent. Jacob restored through indemnity the position of Abel, central figure for the substantial offering, through 3 victories in the following manner. Birthright from Isaac. First, Jacob fought to restore on the individual level the birthright of the eldest son. God had Isaac bless him in Genesis chapter 27, verse 27. This is, as I explained, he also deceived his father with the help of his mother. So let me add also one more point here. The divine principle is saying that the cooperation between mother and son is very important in order to establish the foundation for the Messiah. We see in the situation with Jacob that his mother Rebekah was guiding him how to act in this way, so he would be because God's call required for was sort of God's call. She felt the calling from God to behave in that way. So the providence was moving in that way, and she was connected with the providence, and she was guiding her son Jacob, and she was protecting her son Jacob in this way for him to not be killed and for him to be successful. So the cooperation between mother and son. Why this is important to mention? I want to mention it. In the Garden of Eden, between Cain and Abel, the story is talking just about Cain and Abel. It doesn't say anything about Adam and Eve, what the parents, what they were doing there. But the Cain and Abel would have a successful offering if Eve would have been involved and would cooperate with Abel. So mother and son, Abel and Eve, if they would cooperate, if Eve would have united with God, and she would understand what she need to guide Abel, she need to guide also Cain, and this cooperation would make the offering successful. So the foundation of faith and foundation of substance would have been built, but we cannot. We see this that in Isaac's family, his wife Rebekah was very person who understands God's will. So also in Noah's situation, we don't have any record of Noah's wife. There are nothing written about this in the Bible. That many people say this. The Bible doesn't say nothing about Noah's wife because she didn't really have a good heart for Noah, I think. So they said she was also sort of upset of Noah because he was going to the mountain building the ark, but she didn't support him, most likely. And Noah was she didn't have a good heart for her husband in a sense. So Ham had also not a good heart toward his father Noah because his mother, Noah's wife, didn't help children to understand Noah better, understand the value of what Noah was doing, and how Noah was saved all of them. So the lack of this cooperation between Noah's wife and Noah's son Ham contributed to the failure of Noah's of the situation between Noah and his son Ham. So this is also doesn't divine principle doesn't say about that, but in other sources the author of divine principle talking about this. So if people are interested to learn more about this, they can read more various sources related to this topic from the same author who wrote the divine principle. So the first blessing, God, remember in the beginning, God gave Adam 3 blessings: be fruitful, multiply, and fill the earth. Same blessing God gave to Noah, same blessings God gave to Abraham. And now we see that how Jacob is restoring these three blessings. First blessing is receiving from his father Isaac. This restoration of first blessing: be fruitful, restore the birthright. From this time, God is becoming the first. God is in the position of the first son, elder son. The birthright was restored. So in Genesis chapter 27, verse 27. Second, Jacob went to Haran, which represented the satanic world. After suffering through 21 years of drudgery, he triumphed over Laban by gaining family and wealth as his due inheritance. So the second blessing God restored when he was 21 years in Haran. He was working for his uncle Laban, and he married his daughters, and he created family there. So that he received Laban's blessing finally, and this signifies the family multiply, be fruitful and multiply, creating a family. So Jacob was victorious in restoring the second blessing. This is in Genesis chapter 31, verse 55, who wants to read in the Bible. And the third, on his way back to Canaan, Jacob triumphed in wrestling with an angel, restoring dominion over the angel in a substantial struggle. So the third blessing is dominion over all things. Divine principle maintained is saying that the angels, the spiritual creatures in the spirit world, are also part of the creation and part of all things. There are creation and human beings. So human beings are distinct from creation. So creation, like animals and trees and all the universe, plus angels, they are all part of the same in the same group of creation, all things. However, human beings are on a position of being the children of God. So the angels are in the position of servants. However, after the fall, the people become servant to angels. So that's why from when Jacob was have a real struggle with an angel on the ford of Yabok, he was fighting whole night, and in the end he succeeded, not because he could win the angels, but because he didn't give up. So angel was able to aid when the sun was rising. Angel blessed Jacob and said, because you fought and you prevailed, from now on your name shall be Israel. So this was the restoration of third blessing, in a sense. Genesis chapter 32, verse 29. So Jacob restored symbolically these three blessings that God is gave to humanity. So actually, the divine principle is often talking about these three blessings. Three blessings are the key, one of the key to understand the whole providence. So by restoring these three blessings, Esau was qualified to be the central figure for building the substantial offering, the foundation of substance. Esau and Jacob thus secured the positions in which Cain and Abel had stood at the moment when God accepted Abel's offering. So Jacob was in the position of Abel, Esau was became in position of Cain. Esau needed to remove his fallen nature in order to make a substantial offering. Esau, the position of Cain, who his responsibility to remove four fallen natures. First fallen nature is to failure to see from God's viewpoint. Second fallen nature is leaving one's proper position. Third fallen nature is reversing of dominion. And fourth fallen nature is multiplying the criminal act. And Esau is in a position to remove this fallen nature in order for Jacob and Esau to establish the foundation of substance successfully. What he was needed to do to remove these four characteristics of the fallen nature. First, to love Jacob with God's perspective. So failure to see Jacob from God's viewpoint, need to love Jacob from God's viewpoint. Leaving one's proper position, the second fallen nature. Esau needed to respect Jacob as his mediator to God. So reversing of dominion. Esau need obediently to submit to Jacob to reverse the dominion. And fourth is multiplying the criminal act. Multiply goodness through Jacob. This was Esau's responsibility in building the foundation of substance, to make it a substantial offering. So the substantial offering required more of Esau's effort. Foundation of faith requires more of Jacob's effort. Anyway, Jacob also is required to love Esau, because if he would have an arrogant heart, he would have a heart of disrespect toward his brother. He would say, he would keep his resentment or keep his dislike toward Esau, that I bought from you the first birthright and so on. But we know the attitude that Jacob had when he met Esau. He was bowing before him. Let's read, maybe. When Jacob returned to Canaan with his family and wealth after enduring 21 years of hardships in Haran, he moved Esau to overcome his former hostility. So the Bible says, and Jacob lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, Esau was coming, and 400 men with him. He himself, Jacob, went on before them, his family, bowing himself to the ground 7 times until he came near to his brother. But Esau ran to meet him and embraced him and fell on his neck and kissed him, and they wept. Genesis chapter 33, verses 1 to 4. So Esau had 400 men with him. He was in the position of Cain, and he could easily overpower Jacob and kill him like Cain did. But he instead behaved very differently. He came to Jacob and they embraced, affectionately embraced, and he kissed him. This symbolized the victory of the foundation of substance. This embrace, this affectionately embraced each other. This was a victory that was contributing to building the foundation for the Messiah. Foundation of substance was built based on this meeting. When Esau opened his arms and affectionately welcomed Jacob, they fulfilled the indemnity condition to remove the fallen nature. For the first time, the foundation of substance was successful. Esau had been in the position to be hated by God because he had been given the role of Cain on Satan's side. Once he submitted to Jacob and completed his responsibility, he was at last able to receive God's love as a restored Cain. Their victory restored in one family horizontally the long vertical course of history in which God had been working. Long history from Adam's family to Noah's family to Abraham's family. This vertical history is restored horizontally by Abraham in Abraham's family. Jacob and Esau restored the failures of Abel and Cain and of Ham and Shem. At last, the foundation for the Messiah was established. One would expect that the Messiah would have come on the earth at that time. However, the foundation for the Messiah also requires a social environment conducive to his coming, thus making it feasible for this satanic world to be restored into God's kingdom ruled by the Messiah. So, to build the foundation for the Messiah, in Abraham's family, the internal preparation was not enough. Abraham building the foundation of faith, and Isaac's children, Esau and Jacob, building the foundation of substance, was an internal preparation. However, to build the foundation for the Messiah requires more than that. It requires external preparation as well. What is external preparation? Is a social environment. In Adam's and Noah's families, there were no other families which could possibly attack or corrupt the central family. If either of these families had laid the foundation for the Messiah on the family level, the Messiah could have come without any opposition. However, by Abraham's time, fallen people had already built up satanic nations which could easily overpower Abraham's family. The Messiah could not have safely come. So it was even though there was internal foundation built for foundation for the Messiah, God couldn't send Messiah upon that foundation because Satan has in his dominion nations. So a nation can easily overpower a family foundation. So if God will send the Messiah at that time, the Satan would easily kill the Messiah. That's why I say God has to raise a nation which could protect the Messiah when he came, when he would come. Hence, even though the foundation for the Messiah was laid on the family level, a sovereign state on God's side was needed to cope with the nations on the satanic world, of the satanic world. Such a nation would have been necessary even if Abraham had not failed in the symbolic offering. It still would not have been safe for the Messiah to come until Abraham's descendants had established a national foundation for the Messiah. Though Isaac's family established the family foundation for the Messiah, a course of indemnity was placed upon their descendants, suffering in a foreign land for 400 years as a penalty due to Abraham's mistake in the symbolic offering. Then, as promised to Abraham, God would raise them up as the chosen people and bring them back to Canaan. The one who shoulders the major burden in walking the cause of indemnity is the able type person who serves as the central figure in the substantial offering. So, who was the central figure of the substantial offering? Was Isaac, Jacob. Jacob was in Abraham's family. Jacob is carrying the major burden for building the foundation for the Messiah. So the foundation of substance is the most hard to build, and the key person to build the foundation of substance is Jacob. Although the position of Cain has also to make effort to remove the fallen nature, the position of Abel is much more heavier, much more burden, has much more burden than the position of Cain, because the position of Abel, which was Jacob, has to bring the position of the person in the position of Cain to voluntary submission, not forceful submission, the voluntary submission. So Esau, of course, he came and affectionately welcomed Jacob, but for him to behave in this way, Jacob made a lot of effort. He was 21 years working hard in in Haran under his uncle Laban, and he was victorious, and he came out from the Haran, came to Canaan. Esau was living in Canaan. Jacob was coming from Haran to Canaan, and Jacob brought with him many riches, and when he met Esau, he offered all of his riches, all that he has, to Esau, even his family. He, in the first said, give everything to his older brother. This is the how Abel is. Jacob shows the way how Abel is behaving in order to win the Cain's heart. So Cain would voluntarily submit to Abel. So the major burdens is on the person who is in the central figure for building the foundation of substance. In Abraham's family was Jacob. In Adam's family was Abel. And in Noah's family supposed to be Ham. Abel, Ham, and Jacob all were to carry the major burdens in walking the indemnity courses set down for their families. Among them, Jacob was the only able figure who laid the foundation for the Messiah. So in the position of Abel for building the foundation of substance was Abel and Ham also, but Jacob became the one who was successful in building the foundation for the Messiah. Therefore, his course became the model to separate Satan. He established the pattern for the Messiah to follow at his coming. So when Jesus said that the Son is doing what Father is saying, I don't remember exactly how he said. The Son can do nothing of his own accord, but what the Father is saying. So, in the sense that here Jesus is saying that he needs to follow the model, the pattern that was built before him by Jacob, by Moses. This is what Jesus means when he's saying those words. Jacob's family carried the dispensation entrusted to Abraham. They took responsibility for Abraham's sin and embarked upon the 400-year course of indemnity. So Abraham's sin of not dividing the birds, that was the first offering that Abraham failed to offer. The penalty for that 400 years course of bondage, in the Egyptian bondage of Abraham's descendants. And Jacob's family was the one who was going to Egypt and starting this course. In Jacob's family, it was Joseph who secured the position of Abel. Joseph was the second son, the first son of Jacob's second wife. Jacob had his first wife was Leah, and second wife was Rachel, I think. And he wanted to marry Rachel, but Laban said that if you want to, that 21 years when he was in Haran, he wanted to marry his second daughter, but Laban said that you should work for me 7 years if you want for me to give my daughter to you in marriage. So he worked 7 years, and when he was marrying, in the Laban, his uncle cheated him, because when during the marriage he wasn't able to see who is the wife, but apparently Laban gave him Leah, his first wife, in marriage. So Jacob protested to Laban, saying, "Why? I want to marry Rachel, not Leah, your second daughter, not first daughter." But Laban is saying, our tradition is we cannot give a second daughter if first daughter is not married. So Laban said, if you want to take Rachel, you need to work 7 more years. So Jacob worked 7 more years to marry Rachel, and that's the Joseph is a son which was born from first son born from Rachel. So Jacob had 12 sons, and 11th son, I think, is Joseph, and 12th son is Benjamin. So these 2 sons was born, Joseph and Benjamin was born from Rachel, but I hope her name is Rachel. I don't remember exactly. So, but another sons are born from different wives. So actually, he had 4 wives, but because it was a situation like that. That first, Leah, he was married with Leah, and after Leah wasn't, uh, he had some children with Leah, and after he married Rachel, that he loved, and he wanted to marry, and he started to pay attention more for Rachel, and Leah was feeling lack of love from Jacob, that he pay attention more for Rachel than for her, and she herself she gave to Jacob her servant, another girl for Jacob, so Jacob would have children with her servant too. So because having more children from Leah's side, Jacob started to pay attention more for Leah. So Rachel also was feeling lack of love, and she was also give to Jacob her servant. So Jacob had children with Leah, with Leah's servant, and from Rachel and Rachel's servant. So it was the Leah and Rachel was trying to get more attention from Jacob in this way. So he 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 had many children, not just 12, but 12 of them were boys. So Jacob have 12 sons, which are written in the Bible. There was, of course, daughters, but Bible doesn't record daughters for some reason. And Joseph was the son that Jacob loved, and he in this presentation we don't have slides about that, but I will make a short story about Joseph. He was his sons, his brothers, Jacob's sons from Leah's side, 10 of them, they were very jealous of Jacob because of Joseph, because Jacob, their father, loved him more than them. So they were kind of in a Cain position. So Cain and Abel position is also in Jacob's family. We can see between Joseph and his brothers, older brothers. So this 10. You see here in this picture, Joseph has very beautiful robe because Jacob loved Joseph so much. He gave him his beautiful robe. So that's why their son, their his brothers were very jealous of Joseph. So in here we see that the brothers who were in Cain position also wanted to kill their brother who was in Abel position. So, but they didn't kill him. They sold him in slavery to Egypt. And one of those 10 brothers, whose name his fourth brother, his name is Judah, he recommended this option because the other brothers wanted actually to get rid of Joseph, wanted to kill him. But Judah said, what, we don't have any benefit from killing him, but better we can sell him, we have some benefit from that. So in a sense, Judah saved Jacob. So this is the story of Joseph. After being sold into slavery by his brothers and brought into Egypt, Joseph rose to the office of prime minister of Egypt by the age of 30. Imagine this, when he was 30, he became prime minister of Egypt. Jesus also, when he was 30, he began his public ministry. It's Joseph also is making some foundation for Jesus. So Joseph's brothers entered Egypt and surrendered themselves to him. This was this surrendering to Joseph. This was Cain surrendering voluntary submission to Abel. So this is building the foundation of substance. In this way, Jacob's family began the indemnity course to build a nation which would one day receive the Messiah. So they came to Egypt because there was a famine, and Egypt had grain, had food, and Jacob's children went to Egypt for food, and they didn't know that Jacob was a prime minister at that time, and kind of prime minister in their way. So they submitted to him. At first they didn't recognize him, but after they recognized, they submitted to him, and he asked them to bring also their father Jacob in Egypt. And they came and they started to live in Egypt after that. So this is how started the descendants of Abraham, of Jacob, to live in Egypt, and they become slaves in Egypt. After Jacob passed away, another Pharaoh came which didn't know Jacob, and they enslaved Jacob's descendants, which didn't know Joseph, and they enslaved Joseph's family, Jacob's descendants. So they go through 400 years of Egyptian bondage. Because of this is connected with Abraham's mistake once again. So here is a little bit more explanation about Judah. Okay, let's go to Judah. Let's see here, because from Judah's lineage came Jesus. Judah was the fourth son, fourth son of Jacob. So in Judah's lineage was happening many interesting things that contributed to the foundation upon which Jesus was born. This is not in the divine principle. This is additional information. Jacob, however, was more than 40 years old at the time that he took full control over the birthright of the firstborn. Thus, the realm of the human age prior to 40 was still left without the condition of having won victory over Satan. So we see that Satan were not able to invade people of over 40 years old because they brought victory at the age of 40. But people who were before 40 years old were easier target for Satan. Satan was dominating the people who were younger than 40 years old. Once again, therefore, a dispensation was carried out for the purpose of gaining victory in the womb Tamar, the daughter-in-law of Judah, had in her womb the twin sons, Zerah and Perez. So in the Judah's lineage, a dispensation was carried out, which was the purpose was to purify the womb. So the Messiah Jesus would be born from a womb which is not tainted by Satan. So not just from 40 years old, but should be from the womb. Messiah should be born without the original sin. So that's why there was some events which contributed to the purification of the womb. So Tamar, who was the daughter-in-law of Judah, had in her womb the twin sons Zerah and Perez. Here is not explained, but there is more to the story of Tamar. Tamar was actually a daughter-in-law, and she was about to she married the first son of Judah, but he died without having children. And the tradition in the Israel there was that the daughter-in-law, if her husband dies, she needs to marry a second son, and his name was Onan, second son, I think. And she married the second son, but second son also, the Judah's second son, had made also sin. He didn't want to have children with Tamar, and God killed him. So by following the tradition of their family at that time, Tamar was supposed to marry the third son of Judah, but third son was very young, and Judah didn't want. Judah was seeing that his first son died, his second son died, and he was afraid from Tamar. He didn't want for his third son to die also. He was afraid, and he said he's too young, and he didn't want to give Tamar third son. He didn't want to follow tradition. So, however, Tamar was very connected with God. She understood what God wants, God's call. God wanted to continue the lineage from Judah, from which lineage will come out Jesus. She didn't understand that she didn't know that the Messiah will be born. Of course, she didn't understand that, but she understood the intentions that God wanted for. Sorry. She understood that God wants for her to continue this lineage. So she portrayed herself as a prostitute, and Judah, her father-in-law, didn't recognize her, and he had a sexual relationship with her, thinking that she is just a prostitute. And she asked he didn't pay for the service. He didn't pay, and she asked for him to give her 3 items from him. And after Judah wanted to pay and receive back those items, but they couldn't find her. So Tamar was pregnant. Judah wanted to by following the tradition, if a daughter-in-law gets pregnant outside of marriage, she committed adultery, and by the tradition, is supposed to be stoned to death. And Tamar was in a position of life and death by doing this action as a prostitute and having a sexual relationship with Judah, being pregnant from him. She was risking her life to do that, because if the law required for her to be stoned to death by doing these actions. But when Judah was about to, to give the verdict for her to be punished, she said to him that I was impregnated by the person who gave me these items. And she showed to Judah these items that his items, and he understood that this is his children, that he forgave her, and she gave birth to twin sons, Zerah and Perez. Although Perez was the youngest son, he pushed his brother Zerah aside in order to be born first. In Genesis chapter 38, verses 28 to 29, these words are. So inside the womb of Tamar, this Perez and Zerah was fighting. First, Zerah, who was the older brother, came up first. But the second son pulled him back, and he came up after that. This was like a restoration in the womb, a restoration of birthright in the womb. So the womb God was preparing cleaning the womb for the Messiah to be born. So let's read the Genesis. And when she was in labor, one put out a hand, and the one means Zerah, and the midwife took and bound on his hand a scarlet thread, saying, "This came out first." But as he drew back his hand, behold, his brother came out. His name was called Perez. With Tamar, the womb was restored to the side of God, so that God's original lineage could be established. In this way, it was in this way that the tribe of Judah came to form the foundation on which the Messiah would later be born. So Jacob, the son number 4, is Judah. With Tamar, they had Perez and Zerah. Perez is the younger son, but considered as the firstborn. Restoration of birthright in the womb. This text was from Mr. Moon's speech, Unification of the World and Responsibility of Humankind. You can find this information about this story of Judah, Tamar, Perez, Zerah, and Jacob in this speech, which was given on April 10, 1992 in Seoul. By using his wisdom for the sake of God's will, Jacob triumphed as an individual to win the birthright. He received the elder son blessing from his father Isaac. Next, Jacob entered Haran and as a family triumphed in a 21-year struggle to win the birthright. So in Haran there was uncle Laban. So he received the second blessing, blessed family from Satanic world. The Laban represented the archangel, the Satanic world. So Haran represented the Satanic world. Canaan represent the God's world. So he received the blessing from Satanic world, blessed family, blessing family, multiply, second blessing. On his way back from Haran to Canaan, Jacob was victorious in the fight with the angel. He was the first fallen man to restore dominion over the angel. Thereupon he received the name Israel, signifying that he set the pattern. Blessing of lordship from angel. So dominion over all things, the third blessing. So here he's saying he received the name Israel, signifying that he set the pattern. The Israel means the one who has prevailed. Some people say the one who is wrestling with God and prevail. So this is the pattern of Israel is to prevail. So the Jacob set the pattern for the Messiah, set the model course that subsequently we'll see when we will study Moses' course. We will see that Moses followed the footstep of Jacob's course. So God is setting a pattern based on which future generations, future central figures will walk in order to establish the foundation and create the kingdom. So God is creating a model through Jacob, based on which Moses and Jesus would walk. So we will see the same similar events that happened in Jacob's course will happen in Moses' course and will happen in Jesus' course, and we'll study next. After returning to Canaan with these victories, Jacob won Esau's heart, and together they fulfilled the Edenic condition to remove the fallen nature. And this was the foundation for the Messiah. Jacob thus victoriously completed the model course to bring Satan to submission. Moses, the people of Israel, and Jesus would walk this course after the pattern set by Jacob. What are some lessons we can learn from Abraham's course? First, Abraham's course demonstrates the providence of restoration cannot be fulfilled by God alone. God's predestination is fulfilled in conjunction with the human portion of responsibility. So why the providence is so hard for God to carry the providence? Because God cannot do it alone. If God would be able to do it alone, he would just do it very quickly himself. But it required that people would fulfill their portion of responsibility. So God, based on whether people fulfilling their portion of responsibility or not, God is able to continue his providence. So people are the key. God is always fulfilling his responsibility. People are the problem. People are many times failing. So God is having this hard time because of people. He had to find new people. He had to restore the previous mistake with those people and rely on those people. Recreate the circumstances so to restore the failures of the past. Restoration is happening when God and human beings can together fulfill their responsibility. Second, I'm sorry. Abraham's course demonstrates that God's predestination concerning human beings is conditional. So, it's conditional. It means that God's predestination concerning human beings is conditional, not absolute. It depends whether people will fulfill their responsibility or not. That's why it's conditional. The third, Abraham's course. So the second one, we see God rely on people, rely on Abraham to fulfill the first offering, but he wasn't able to fulfill the first offering, and that's why God gave him another chance. God is dependent on whether Abraham fulfilled or not. But before Abraham, we know that in Adam's family was a failure, and in Noah's family was a failure. So it was a conditional. God couldn't accomplish in those families the foundation for the Messiah. He wasn't able to send the Messiah then. So in this sense, it's conditional because the people failed. So the third, Abraham's course shows us that when human beings fail to complete their responsibility, the fulfillment of God's will is always delayed and requires a greater indemnity condition. So here we see original indemnity is like price. This is a graph. Indemnity conditions, we see original indemnity is like that. Over time, if original indemnity is not fulfilled, if we're going over time, the price gets bigger. Greater indemnity condition coming. So Abraham wasn't able to make an offering of animals. The greater indemnity was Isaac. and 400 years of Egyptian bondage. This is because the next central figure is have to fulfill his responsibility, original, and pay indemnity for the mistake that was made previously. So that's why it's a greater indemnity condition. Fourth, Abraham's cutting the sacrifices in two provides a lesson that each of us must divide our own self as an offering to separate good from evil. So we come back to division of the sacrifice. So this for us is like we need to divide ourselves. Inside us there is both good and evil. So we need to divide that. If we neglect to do this, a condition is set up for Satan to invade. So if we don't divide ourselves, don't divide the evil from us, we become Satan's prey. All the time Satan can claim us and control our lives and give us hard time. Only by dividing good from evil in ourselves can we become living offerings pleasing to God. Here, loving others and selfishness. This is exalt the good, need to love others, and destroy the evil. This we should not be selfish. Abraham cut them in two and laid each half over against the other. Genesis chapter 15, verse 10. Our mind, our original mind, wants to live for the sake of others. But our body always wants to live for its personal comfort. So that's why selfishness is connected with the desires of the body. So we need to. It's not that desires of the body are bad. It's because the desires of the body shouldn't be dominating us. The desires of the mind should be subject. Should be the ones who are guiding us to live. We live not to eat, but eat in order to live. This is how we can say it in a short way. So we should have the right motive. So in order to have this division, we need to have a strong mind. We need to grow our hearts, grow our love, extend our hearts and our minds to others. Learn how to go beyond ourselves. This is how we need to divide, because the body usually will say many things for us. Oh, you can better take rest or take sleep or eat. Also, very important to control sexual desires. Even you have sexual desires, you should control them, especially before marriage. In marriage, you can have sexual relationship with your wife, but before marriage, you shouldn't let your body uh, dictate your carnal desires or dominate you. So that's the meaning of this dividing ourselves, the mind and body. We should offer ourselves like that. So dividing ourselves, the Abraham shows that by dividing the offering, we also need to do ourselves with ourselves, to become offering pleasing to God. So this is the end of the section 3 of the first chapter of the second part of the divine principle. The section 3 is about Abraham's family, Abraham's faith, and the foundation of faith and foundation of substance between Jacob and Esau. As I said, I want to encourage everyone to study the divine principle. Chapter 1 is the title of the chapter 1 is the Providence to lay the foundation for restoration. This is the name of the chapter 1, which we studied through this. First was Adam's family, second was Noah's family, and the third was divided into two parts. This is the second part. First part is Abraham's family, and the second part is Abraham's family, but more about Jacob and Esau. So this is the first chapter of the second part of divine principle, and there are in the second part of divine principle there are 6 chapters, and the first part there are 7 chapters. Please take time and read this book. You will be amazed of how much wisdom you can find inside this book. Thank you very much, and wish you have a good time